Welcome to the weekend edition. I'm Dr. Kingori. Now, despite Kenya being an agricultural country, and I mean agriculture, you know, I need to clarify that because kulima could mean so many things in this country. That needed clarification because if Honorable Ngujiri is a farmer, he could talk about hii mwaka nalima mahindi na maharagwe na jogo. Mwaka uliopita nililima wetagura na hakuna faida nilipata. It was such a big blow. But that's besides the point. We are an agricultural country, but following the drought situation that hit us lately, this month our president received food donations from the United Arab Emirates, a country which is covered by 75% desert. But still, the government maintained that Kenya is food secure, which means what we received from the UAE was dessert. However, I don't think we are food secure. If we had enough food, then what happened to this guy's music career?
Kuna hoteli ambayo miwenda kukamata ugali na supu ya magoti. Mara tu mlima wa ugali ukifika naanza kufanya testi za muluya. Ya kwanza na finya ugali inachomoka pande zote za mkono. Ya pili na vumba ugali tupa kwa ukuta narudi kama tennis.
That was a massive hit song back in the day. He sang about ugali, he sang about chapatis, but who has heard about this guy lately? He must have been like, look at this country now. Do you see anything to sing about? That's the Beyonce in me acting up. Najua. The ugali song is a gospel song, by the way. But the holiest thing I've heard in that verse was when he mentioned white smoke. You know, in the Vatican, white smoke announces a new pope. In this country, people worship ugali. Ugali is bay. That's why we call it same bay. If you know how precious ugali, if you want to know how precious ugali is in this country, believe it or not, some people consider cooking ugali more prestigious than winning an Oscar.
Do you miss living here? Is there anything you miss about Kenya?
I miss ugali a lot. Because I also don't know how to cook ugali.
What do you mean you don't know how to cook ugali?
Yeah, I don't know how to cook ugali.
No, that's terrible.
I know, it's really, really bad. It's really, really bad. I have a mwiko, but I don't know how to cook ugali.
Kuna swali catch no story for real, by the way. What Ali catch? If you can't cook ugali, which Oscar will marry you? When Lupita said that, actually, watu wengine waliacha kumuunga mkono. So, when you see an artist like Man Ingwe sing about ugali so passionately, you can't judge him. You're going to hear so much about food on the show tonight. And I know it's a very sensitive subject. It is also a major issue.
He's a major anakulia wapi. He's bigger than Matrax. It's like they're going on opposite directions.
This is what we're talking about.
Unajua manze, mimi naweza kuambia hivi, unajua mu check my weight, lakini si kwa gym, kwa kioo. Na check na kwa uzenu ulia kitunguu.
Boom.
Uzenu unulia nyanya.
Boom.
Uzenu unulia mafuta.
Boom.
Wewe nani kuniambia hivyo?
Meja ndio alijiuza hapa kutaja nyanya vitunguu. Meja is a big artist. No pun intended. No pun intended, for real. Na angesema tu amekula ngoma.
Kula ngoma. Kula ngoma. Miala. Kula ngoma.
We could have bought it. Anyway, the definition of food varies from individual to individual. But the common ground is that food is the secret to catch a human being's attention. That's why the best trick to keep people in church is to describe preaching as chakula cha kiroho. Use phrases like tunaenda kumega mkate wa uzima. Every time that's mentioned in church, people change their sitting positions because what they hear is tunaenda kumega mkate mzima. Now, food is also the pillar of Kenyan politics. Being in government ni kukula nyama. The act of a whistleblower is spilling the beans. Bullying in politics, according to the Kabete MP Ferdinand Waititu, ni kutolewa chapati kwa mdomo. The motto of Kenyan campaigns has there before been described as, it is our turn to eat. When someone wants to show how brave they are in politics, they say, we shall not be cowed. You see? Food is the pillar of our Kenyan politics. And looking at it from a political angle, then yes, Kenya is food secure. And that brings me to the subject of the show tonight, food security. the state of having reliable access to sufficient quantity of affordable, nutritious food. And guess what's one of the main reasons behind food security? Ugali.
Agriculture experts say that Kenya's obsession with maize has played a huge role in fueling food insecurity. Each Kenyan is currently estimated to consume at least 90 kilos of maize per year.
Now, everyone consumes a whole 90 kilogram bag of maize per year. Kila mtu na yake. But that's just estimates. If the government decided to enforce a law that everyone has to strictly adhere to their 90 kilogram of bag of maize per year, what do you think would happen to this guy? The first 2 weeks of January, amefieka gunia yake yote. The only thing we have had being eaten like that ni ile pesa ya NYS. And I've always wondered why Kenyan farmers are always busy on their farms na hatuoni mali chakula inaenda. Kumbe there are people who see ugali as a toy.
If you ever thought that you have the real appetite to eat, then you are wrong. A 24-year-old energetic and handsome young man. What strikes us is his ability to chew more than you can imagine. He is capable of eating 3 kilograms of ugali, not with the assistance of anyone, but all alone.
That guy is handsome. Hizo ni ugali tu ziko ingia deformities. But sasa I have a question. Kama huyu jamaa anakula hivi na weight yake iko tu sawa, Meja alikula nini? That's a hashtag by the way, Meja alikula nini? Actually, imagine this guy in an interview. So apart from farming kijana, what else do you do? I am a food expert. Mimi ni mtaalamu wa ugali na mboga. Na nimemecha hapo kwa ugali. Naweza fieka kilo 3 ya unga kwa safari moja. For such people, the government should introduce ugali blow. You know, the alcohol blower to test ugali levels in people. It's not even difficult. Weka weighbridge mbele ya kupima ugali mbele ya hoteli. Mtu akiingia anapima kilo, akitoka anapima. If you exceed the set maximum, unaenda ndani. Majamaa, tumeenda lunch na JMO bana. Msi anafieka kilo 5 za sembe na majamaa wa NTA sembe wako hapa. Msi yako ndani. Food defines us. And that's why they talk of you are what you eat. And I really hope that's not true. You can't be what you eat. Ukienda kwa hoteli uitishe chapati ngombe, what does that make you? When ni chapati ama ni ngombe? And what do you think guys say about the Naivasha residents? See, Naivasha is the meat-tasting region of this country. They discovered donkeys are edible. You are what you eat anyway. Yeah? And it's now legal. Believe it or not, years back, the area residents discovered that they had secretly been eating baboons.
Yenyewe tumekula kwa muda mrefu.
Ni kweli, unaona usinunue sukuma unauzwa nyama 20. Hata jana hivi kulikuwa walikuwa nauza nyama 25. Sasa tunaitaka baba 20, baba 50 kwa na rafiki yako unanunua nyama.
Hata kama ukidatoa kangozi kadogo hivi utaona kweli pengine ni nyati. Ni nini? Ni nguruwe. Kwa sababu hata umbo wake ukiangalia kama steak.
Wale wanyama wase ukula chini ya maji hapa explains tabia zingine wase wako nayo. And most people do not know what they don't even have a clue what they eat, which could be another definition of food insecurity. You do not know how safe what you are eating is. If you want to know the type of meat you have eaten, now observe how you behave after eating the meat. The president has been very angry of late. Kwani ile nyama alikula pale Kenyatta Market ilikuwa nyama ya nini? And one of the ways the government has tried to increase food production in the country was the introduction of GMO, which was met by serious opposition.
But we are against the biotechnology of GMO. Why? Because they're altering the gene. Gene is what identifies us. DNA is what identifies who we are. And every species has unique DNA. So GMO is altering the DNA of maize by incorporating the DNA of bacteria. And that is against God's order.
These complaints led to the ban of GMO. Instead, people went for the gene editing. And that's how they discovered that a pig's heart could work in a human being. Literally. Bado watu wajanza kuwekwa roho za nguruwe na vile watu wengine hapa nje wako na roho chafu. Sasa wakiekewa za nguruwe. Anyway, GMO ili bounce. I am not technical expert in the matters of food security. We have a professional coming up after the break to help us with that. I just got interested in the subject when I learned that the government knows that a drought occurs every 5 years. It's a pattern. Unfortunately, elections also occur every 5 years. So kama we ni serikali, you have an election and a drought to deal with, pamoja. Both possible national disasters. Welcome back to the Weekend Edition. My name is Dr. Kingori. Our subject tonight is food security, and our guest is the Associate Director in World Vision for Resilience and Livelihoods, Mr. Lawrence Keguro, ladies and gentlemen. Lawrence Keguro, ladies and gentlemen. Karibu. Welcome to the show, boss. I always say something that people think is funny before we start the show. Okay. Every guest, that's how I introduce every guest. But tonight, I'll request to refrain because we are talking about food and you don't joke with food. Karibu.
Okay.
Karibu.
Even food is something to joke about because it's an important thing.
Yes.
And personally, I think that by saying that I'm very happy to see these young people here with an interest and focus on food. Yes.
If you are an associate director of resilience, which means recovering from a disaster, you gave up on supporting Harambee Stars because they lost a match.
How did you know that?
We did our research, we did our bit. Actually the Harambee Stars is the Arsenal version of Kenya.
Actually, what happened when I was a young man like you at the university, there was this match that was being held in a Kivugu Stadium in Uganda.
Yes.
The match was so live to me
that you got mad.
That I actually cried because my team of Harambee Stars was losing. And because of crying, because of football, I said never again will I ever be a fan of football.
And that's the problem. That was the problem. Uli catch instead of the goalkeeper. Now, the subject of our show tonight is the food security.
Yes.
And the government knows that every 5 years there will be a drought. Like hata sai tukisaidia wase na food, it brings the impression anyi sai tunawasort but tukutane in 5 years. Like bado mtasikia njaa. Why can't we come up with a lasting solution for this?
Actually, it's not even 5 years. It's even a very long time. We are talking about these days is coming out almost every other year. Every 2 years, you expect 1 year to have a shortage of rain.
Yes.
And why are we having this is because of the issue of climate change. And why you're having the problem of climate change is because of the accumulation of greenhouse gases, and interfering with the whole ecosystem. Now the issue is that we may not be able to do everything, or to do everything to stop the greenhouse gases at our level, but all of us need to act together to do that. Yes. But we do what we can at our level. Now at our level, we can do 3 things as a country. One is accepting that climate change is here with us. Climate change brings about the issue of rainfall becoming unreliable and that you cannot depend on it anymore. And therefore you have also frequent droughts. So we have to accept the fact that drought is here with us, and therefore we have to adapt to what we are calling, we do what we call adaptation to climate change. Now adaptation to climate change means you change from what you have been growing before to those other crops that can do with the available rains.
Like wetangula.
Yes, we have just been shown a clip we are showing about people talking about ugari. In Kenya, food security is equated to maize or to ugari.
Okay.
And unfortunately, that's not the only food that is available in this country.
Yes, there's chips and stuff, but that does that qualify for like real food?
All these things are foods. I mean, let's take for example, if we are not able to grow maize, to be able to make the ugari, you can grow sorghum. Sorghum is food. You can grow cassava. Cassava is food. You can grow sweet potatoes. Sweet potato is food. But unfortunately, unless we eat food, unless we eat maize or we eat ugari, we don't feel like we have eaten.
Let's be realistic. Mimi ni mtu wa mjengo. Ni convince ni kule chipo. Serious, convince me. I'm a mjengo guy.
And let me also now tell you, if you are a Mjego guy,
Yes.
and there is no ugali,
Yes.
which is the better option? There is no ugali, and what is available is a chipo or the sweet potatoes or whatever else is available.
I'll take the chipo, but I'll consider it fasting. But I don't think it's something that I can quit. We're talking about quitting ugali. Like quitting ugali, like we boycott ugali.
That is what has been put in our minds. But there is really nothing wrong with eating ugali or eating cassava or eating sweet potatoes or even eating bananas. And it's not our problem. Let me go back. The problem goes back to 1982. When the government enacted a policy that we're calling the National Food Policy, that indicated that the staple food for Kenya is what? Is maize. And that implied a lot of things thereafter. It implied that all the research, all the funding for this country was just directed towards production of nothing else but maize. Other things were kind of secondary.
If I got you right,
Yes.
Could that mean that before 1982,
yes,
people were eating chips until the government chipped in and say,
Okay.
like, you know what, you need to stop and you need to...
I would say they were still eating all other types of foods, including maize, but that time it was given a lot of emphasis as a staple food for Kenya.
Just the other day, they told us now you can eat donkeys.
Yes,
What next? Baboons?
There's nothing wrong with donkeys as long as they are investigated by the veterinary authorities. I think that has been the position. If you go to another country,
yes,
they even eat things like baboons. They eat squirrels. Yes, most of these things are just in the mind. It's just because of our cultures, we are not used to it. But the minute you get used to it, it's not anything new. I mean,
with that information you have, you will eat a baboon.
According to them.
Chapati baboon up away. You do that.
So basically, what I'm saying here is that most of these things are based on our cultures.
Okay.
And we have to get out of our cultures if we have to continue surviving. Can you people imagine a time when this country will be having, we are talking about 40 million Kenyans and we're not able to feed ourselves. You reach what we are calling the Malthusian theory because the production will be so high and the production, and the amount of that is constant. Therefore, production of food is at a standstill. So we have to diversify our eating habits.
How long do you see that happening? Like people being... Like in how many years?
Maybe another 200 years or so.
We will not be there.
But your grandchildren will be there. And they'll be needing food. Yes. And you have to embrace now those things that you are saying they are not good. They will have to get out of this messy business and go into other things that are maybe more productive. Or come up with other types of crops that are, that are productive enough.
Okay. Yeah. So to summarize what you've just said, first of all, the best remedy for climate change is mindset change.
Yes.
Change our mindset.
Yes.
It's okay to eat a baboon as long as you don't look at it as a baboon. If you unakula ukifunga macho unasema hii ni ng'ombe na hii ni ng'ombe and this is a cow.
Let's just call it diversified eating habits. I went to another country, Indonesia, where they eat snakes. They put, the way we put fish in a cage and we say fish and chips. There it is snakes and chips. And you just go and point to a snake and you say, can you remove for me this one which is black and slaughter it for me? And they slaughter it for you and you eat.
How did you react after eating the snake? Like
of course.
You didn't notice behavior change?
Of course. I started walking like a snake.
Yes. What's the most surprising meal you've taken?
Maybe that one.
As in, for your calm nature, I would guess a teddy bear, but...
No, my thing is that I normally look at, if I go to a community and I feel what they are eating and nothing is happening to them, I just conform myself to that. And I believe I can live in any community in this world because I can eat anything that people are eating. Yeah, if it's a dog, it's the same. All these animals are edible. There's nothing that will happen to you.
You've eaten man's best friend too.
What I'm saying is that they are all edible as long as they are properly checked to make sure that they don't have disease.
So you'll eat anything that has meat and
anything that will sustain life.
Let's do something.
For me, instead of dying for lack of food today, I'll eat what is available and die tomorrow because I ate the wrong food.
Even the person?
That's my policy. I'll not eat another person because that's against God's, against the whole
Okay, I think
creation.
I'm just so fixed on that issue of you eating everything that moves except a person. So allow me to do something, like a small activity. Like you've heard of nyama nyama nyama? You know nyama? If something is nyama, just say nyama. So nyama nyama nyama. Nyama nyama nyama. Ya kuku. Ya ng'ombe. Ya mbuzi. Punda.
Yeah. Are you in doubt? We now have a slaughterhouse in Baringo where they are slaughtering donkeys. But now let's do the mindset change with what is available locally. Forget about those things which are being eaten out there. Just the normal things. Let's change from the habit that unless you eat maize, the food that unless akule ugali hajakula. Kama iko maharagwe, kama iko cassava, kama iko ngwashi, kama iko nduma, eat what is available. All these things are food, and in terms of energy, maybe even those ones have got probably more energy than the ugali. It's only that there is the energy slowly, you know.
Aye. Yeah. Sawa, you mesikia yote. Our guest tonight, very interesting. Actually, I love the part about meat. He's eaten everything. He's eaten a snake. He's eaten a dog. He has not confirmed. But we said earlier on the show that you are what you eat. That's it for the weekend edition. See you next week. My name is Dr. Kingori.